Good morning, Candy. How lovely to be with you once again. It does seem such a long time since we last spoke together in this way, and yet time has flown by. At the beginning of lockdown, I was aware of this wave of fear that swept over our nation. And sitting in my conservatory, my usual place for a quiet time, I decided that I would make a covenant with God and that I would every day speak out loud and choose to trust him and choose to be thankful no matter what. And that's exactly what I've done every day since. And I have to tell you that it changes my perspective and helps me every day to cope with whatever God brings. So during this time as well, I've been keeping a little book which is called Lessons in Lockdown. And it's been so good for me to look back and see the things that God has been teaching me. And I want to share a few of those with you this morning. Pardon me. First one is in Psalm 23, and you know this psalm very well. And so I've entitled verses 1 to 3 with, I choose to rejoice. And I choose to do it because the Lord is my shepherd. I have all I need and more. He brings rest in green places, if I allow him to. He leads me beside peaceful streams and renews my strength as long as I cooperate with him. And linked with this, I want to share with you Psalm 1, which is an amazing psalm, really, and one of my very favourites, which I've been familiar with all my life. And it says, blessed is the man or woman who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yield its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. I want you to think about this tree for a few minutes. This tree is planted by streams of water where it receives nourishment and strength, and the water is a stream and it flows and it's fresh every day. And it brings forth fruit. And the wonderful thing is that the leaf does not wither, and I find that so encouraging. So I choose to rejoice in these things today. The second thing I want to share with you happened a few weeks later. And again, I was sitting in the conservatory and Tony was with me, and we had this family of robins who came by, and they were building a nest. And we watched them fascinated. They picked up all kinds of leaves and twigs and suitable things. And then they flew onto the pergola, the obelisk, and then looked at us and then flew into this fir tree. And it took ages. And I did some research and discovered that the female built the nest and the male fed the female while she was on the nest. And they worked together in perfect harmony. And I thought that's God's lesson for us as his children, that we need to, all the time, no matter what the circumstances, work together in harmony. And then, lastly, I want to share with you a passage from Psalm 138, and this was several days later. And I found this wonderful prayer to begin with, which says, open my eyes to perceive you, realign my mind to believe you, and reawaken my heart to receive you. And there's some wonderful verses in Psalm 138, which I'm going to read, verses 1 to 3 and 7 and 8. I will praise you, O Lord, with all my heart. I will sing your praise. I will bow down toward your holy temple and will praise your name for your love and your faithfulness. For you have exalted above all things your name and your word. When I called, you answered me. You made me bold and stout-hearted. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. You stretch out your hand against the anger of my foes, and with your right hand you save me. The Lord will fulfill his purposes for me. Your love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands. So once again, I choose to rejoice in God's unfailing love, in his faithfulness, in his promises which are backed by his name. The fact that he answers prayer, and we have seen wonderful answers to prayer during this time. He gives me strength. He protects me from my enemies. And he saves me with his powerful right hand. Stop and think about what that might mean for you. God has a powerful right hand, the hand of authority and power. And the final promise is, you will work out your plans for my life. So please don't abandon me. So at this time, I want to say to you, what will you do with what God has been saying to us through this short talk? And as I've asked your church group to sing, let your living water flow over my soul, as you listen to that, put yourself in a place where God is able to do that for you this morning. And if you are fearful, anxious, disturbed, distressed, allow God to minister to you by the power of his Spirit. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.